Hello. So there's going to be a big update later today. Steam release, of course, a completely new hero, and a lot of other new things. But being a Mac main and having responsibility to update the Mac guide, today I'm just going to go over the entire patch notes for Mac specifically and discuss how things are going to change. I'll also be updating the guide live and making some predictions on which builds will be the best and which things you should try during the first week of release. Everyone will be scrambling to learn new things because there's a lot of changes for every hero. So this will be a great time to get a head start. So firstly, looking at some overall changes, there are going to be some new items for Mac, of course, but before we go into those, these are the general changes. So day 1, hour 1, it will now be a normal hour with 3 nodes. This gives an opportunity to visit more shops or pick some of the other events. All players will start with 7 income and 15 starting gold. So no more enchanted item stuff and gold skill. This is usually a really good sign for Mac. He values seeing the shops early so he can get more of those relics. The earlier you get the relics, the earlier you can complete their quests. So overall, I would say this is a positive change. He always takes income start, in my opinion anyways, so it really won't affect much. Also, there is an item drop rate change. Basically, the devs want gold items to be like the carry items or the pivot items, and they want those to be more rare in the early to mid game. So the primary change is that gold items and skills will show up on day 6 instead of 5, and they'll show up at a higher frequency. And a lot of items have been moved to gold, as we'll see. Also, there's some changes to status effects, like freeze, slow, and destroy, radiant as well, and an entire new mechanic known as flying, where if an item enters the flying state, all of the crowd control effect applied on it will be reduced by half. Enchantments will be interesting too. They're going to try to reduce the damage type enchantments. So in the past, let's say if you enchanted a life conduit, it would do like a lot of damage scaling as you scale the conduit itself. So it's probably going to be weakened. We'll have to see for sure. There's a lot of different items, so it will change based on what item it is. Now finally, the burn and regen interaction helps max. Basically what this line states is that it will be easier to recover from the burning damage when you have regen now. In the past, you needed a lot of regen to try to recover from the burns, but this makes it better. Now let's go on to the new items. And for disclaimer, everything here is just my review, so don't take anything as a fact. Things will change, especially in the first week when there are like some emergency patches potentially. And also, I really don't have an entire grasp of everything until I actually start trying and getting into runs. So I'll be updating the guide very frequently this week as I do more runs on Mac. So we're getting some new reagents. First of all, we get the Frozen Horror, which is good even without being transformed. Low cooldown, good freeze amount. It has ammo, but there are ways you can give it more ammo, or even ways you can reload the ammo. Harder on this character than others, but worth a try. Transforming it gives you Icy Medium, gold item, so you can get some crazy hits. We also get a large reagent, and when transformed, you basically just get a random enchant, so you can get some insane high rolls with this as well. For the small reagents, we're getting a turbo one, a shiny one, a deadly one. So always nice to have more opportunities to hit some crazy combinations. It's kind of what this character is about anyways, so it'll be fun. We're also getting some new flying items, and some existing Mac items have been changed to include flying effects. So we have a flying potion that just gives items flying and hastes them for a bit. Not too exciting. Atmospheric Sampler is pretty exciting. It can help with charge loops, as whenever you use an enchanted or flying item, you'll charge another one. And you also get some reagents, so you can hit some of the really nice reagents that they added. Charging for 1 second at gold and 2 seconds at diamond is great. Kind of reminds me of a pendulum. And you can also include this in like a palanquin board for charge loops if you get crit. So we'll be talking about that later. Grabstone is one of those region stacking items, and it can give your whole board flying at some point, which is nice. Remember, when you have flying, the CC on your items will be reduced, so it's always nice to have. And then you just start gaining region whenever you use an item. So eventually it will be all of them if the fight is long enough. So I can see this being used in certain boards, such as ones with Conduit, where you want to stack region, or even with like a Nightshade, where you want to stack the poison damage. Orly is another crit flying support. So whenever you crit, an item starts flying, and your flying items will have up to 50% crit, which is a lot. So again, you can kind of piece together a palanquin build in your head already with this new crit and flying synergy, right? We have Sampler, Orly, and then there's also a flying payoff, which is Sky Terror, large dragon. It's really nicely designed on the art. 3.5-second cooldown, and the effect is it starts or stops flying. And whenever it does either, it will scale itself and do a certain amount of damage. So those are just the new items very briefly. I recommend reading the patch notes for yourself just to absorb all the details, as there are a lot of things going on. We have some new encounters like Excavation, which can give a relic from any hero. Some more opportunities for relic dupes even. And then for MAK, he has a new encounter where he just gets a reagent. So that's nice. Doesn't specify the size. So you can get the medium and large ones. And we'll see why that's important very soon. A lot of new monsters. Test Subject Alpha will be great. It has a bunch of self-poison synergy items, as well as a really insane skill that can reduce your items' cooldowns and increase the enemy items' cooldowns if you're poisoning, I believe. So I will be clicking that whenever I can, just like Joyful Jack. Also some adjustments. Pretty sure Lord of the Wastes will no longer have Pendulum, which is unfortunate, but understandable. So now going on to existing items that have been changed. Oh, the C4 ammo vendor, or ammo skill vendor will no longer appear. So that's fine because most of the time you just don't click on that. All right, MAK items. So again, remember the devs have a vision where they want the larger game carry items to start at gold. So Apothecary starts at gold now. Regen number is buffed. And they corrected an issue where charges from different triggers did not obey the internal cooldown. Basically what this means is that it's a nerf because when you have two different triggers at the same time, they're going to share an internal cooldown, so it will take longer for the charge in this case. So for example, if you're poisoning and you're also hasting, it will take longer for those to apply for the Apothecary. So the Apothecary was mainly used in a build where it just goes infinite, basically. You just get infinite regen triggers. So it'll probably be a lot worse now. This is already a nerf, so harder to loop fast and harder to find the item itself. Athenor starts at gold now, and it has a buff for when you use a potion, you burn more. This item was mainly used with the Eternal Torch anyways to help with quest completion. Sometimes it can stick on the final board if you have enough early wins. So I think moving it to gold will also make that specific build and that relic worse. Black Ice starts at gold, has a 2-second lower cooldown now, which is great. And it freezes less items, I guess, technically, when you upgrade it. Poisons a bit more than before. So this item was mainly just used in the freeze build, which I'll discuss in a bit as well. But I think it's okay that it starts at gold. most of the time you don't play it early to mid anyways. By the time you've completed your freeze items, then you can try and finding this item. And it's nice that this item will not be appearing at lower tiers because that makes that pool of items better, right? So you're more likely to find what you need at silver now. This item's like pretty conditional for a specific build, so I'm okay with this. Now here's the big change. Catalyst has been changed to transform an item of any size instead of just the small. So that's why all the reagents have become more exciting and better. You can now roll more options. So for example, the freeze reagent, you can roll like an IC rapid injection system, right? You can roll an IC adrenal converter and all sorts of really strong medium items, or even the large item. You could just use a catalyst to re-roll it now. So you can get a lot of opportunities to hit that item that you really want, or like that super high roll item. What this means for us will be that we'll be buying more catalyst generators and keeping them in our stash. We'll also be buying more reagents than before. So the cellar was an item that rarely saw any use. It's probably going to remain the same, but at least it's a catalyst generator now. Upgrading a potion is probably not very useful, honestly. I wouldn't upgrade my cellar just to upgrade some potions. The Covetous Raven was basically never used, and now it will start flying if you use a relic or enchanted item, as well as charge itself as normal. So there might be an opportunity to use this, as again, there were some flying synergy items above. So this is definitely going to be more useful than before. Crocodile Tears starts at bronze, and everything else is pretty much the same. Obviously at bronze it will have a higher cooldown because you need to upgrade it. I think this item could be like similar to a Mantis Shrimp for Vanessa. You can probably run it in the very early game, get some damage over time ticks, and then like do the remaining amount of health on your opponent with one cast. Besides that though, not very strong. It also messes up the recycling bin vial launcher build because back then you only wanted small bronze potions so that they could reroll into potions with low cooldowns, but now the reroll pool has potions with high cooldowns. So it is a nerf. Earrings wasn't really changed much. The only change is the one that was similar to Apothecary. So let's say you did slow and haste at the same time, it just charges slower. But I think it's not really a big deal for earrings. Excavation tools was buffed, which is great. One of our key items, and it will continue to be as long as you run relics on your board. Basically the change is that you don't need a quest item anymore. It will just always start at 4 cooldown. And then it still charges 1, 2, and 3 seconds, like before when you upgrade it. And now you also get a free catalyst, so that's nice. Fireclaw wasn't really used much, besides with the Calcinator build, which could come back into the meta with all of these new reagents and focus on catalyst usage. So maybe Calcinator can come back, but this item got moved to gold. Slightly lower cooldown, and it gets 50% instead of 75 at gold, and diamond is the same. So I think this item isn't going to be very good. I don't think that build will be very good in general, but we'll see. But I'm not really liking the changes to this item. Firefly's slightly longer cooldown, and better base burn, and also slightly better scaling, and against flying. So I think this item went from being mainly unclickable, even for early game, to slightly more clickable, and potentially an option for early game. Fungal spores will generate a catalyst when you purchase it, and this itself is a reagent. So I feel like you just always buy this, and then you use the catalyst on it, and you'll get an enchanted item. So when you sell it back, if you want to, just get all your gold back. So I don't see a reason not to buy this. So it's great. Ice Claw got moved to gold. It used to start at bronze, and it wasn't very good at all. Has lower cooldown, has better scaling. I just don't really see this item actually being used. So it's nice that it starts at gold now, so that your silver and bronze item pool is less diluted. So yeah, I'm okay with that. I won't be clicking this though, unless I want to complete my frost totem. Frozen Flame also starts at gold and has better scaling, but it freezes for less. This is one of the most important effects that it had, because you get to affect your opponent's entire board. So getting this nerfed isn't great. And also remember, because of all the new flying cards, by the time you actually reach half health, you're probably going to freeze a bunch of flying items. So you can think of this as like 0.5 in 1 second. So this item seems to be kind of unclickable. Not that it was very clickable before, though, to be fair. But yeah, the free stuff is looking a little strange right now. Invulnerability potion starts at bronze, so Vile Launcher got worse again, because it has a really long cooldown, but instead you get more invulnerability. So you just always take no damage for 2 seconds when you reach half HP, or when you use this potion. So this would be a pretty solid slot in for early fights, because you sometimes need those 2 seconds just for like 2 more poison ticks, and you can clutch a fight. So I think this will be great. Against aggressive heroes early, this will be important to have. Even if you're not like poisoning, just having regen, and then having 2 seconds to regenerate back up can turn the tide. So I think I will be getting this. Library actually got buffed, because weapon cooldowns might be reduced for slightly less at Diamond now, but most of the time you use Library for reducing your own cooldowns. And now, if you upgrade to Diamond, it's not stuck at 1 second decrease, but rather goes up by a little bit more. So that's nice to have. Poor Life Conduit. It'll still be playable. It was really good before, so I understand this. But going from 5 to 6 means that you cannot do the Library Infinite anymore. Because back then, when it was 5, you put it with the Library, it goes down to 4. Has multicast 2, you put a Diamond Pendulum, and then another Relic with multicast 2 and 4 second cooldown, and it just starts looping infinitely. So now, harder to do that. Still possible if you upgrade the Library to Diamond, and also use some monster loot to reduce the cooldown. I think Conduit will still be fine though, honestly. It still scales a lot. In early mid game, it will be strong. Magic Carpet will start flying when you crit, as well as reducing its cooldown like before. So direct buff, your carpet will be harder to CC. And you can transition from the carpet into some of the other flying related builds, or like crit related builds with Palanquin as well. So I see a new build variation for the carpet popping up, and pretty excited that carpet will be coming back, because back then you just had to buy the runic Great Axe, and that was not a good item on its own. It was just there for like the lifesteal synergy and the 100% crit. So might be able to get your carpet to 1 second cooldown without using that. So a new option for the carpet players, and hopefully that means carpet will be better, because recently it has been pretty bad. Macroscope gains multicast if you have a friend. So I guess it's just a small buff, because you can get 1 more multicast on this, and you just need a friend for that, which is a little bit harder to find. But there's still things like the Curio egg and some other things. This item was mainly used just to synergize with like a slow board or complete some quests. It's also great with Pendulum and getting an infinite loop, so I don't think much will change. I would still get this item. Speaking of, Pendulum is next up, and its main change is that it's moved to Diamond tier only, which I understand, because again, getting in at gold like fairly consistently was just always like a 10 win, because you can always just build some infinite board and it'll be really hard to stop. So this just makes it harder to find, but it doesn't really change much because you only use the pendulum at diamond anyways. You just wanted it at gold so you can upgrade it at level 13 or 16. So whenever you find the pendulum, I would still click it if you can get a loop going. Plague Glaive was buffed, cooled down to 8 seconds now, so I feel like it's more clickable than before. And I haven't really used this item much before, but I might consider it more now. The main worry that I had earlier was that it would just take too long to cast, but it seems a lot better now. Speaking of Plague Glaive and items that can synergize with it, Poppy Field hasn't been moved to gold as well, which is rough because that was one of our best tempo options. Just hitting an early Poppy Field just allows you to win mid-game, and then upgrading it with Sterling, using some loot on it to buff the base poison that it has. Usually can carry you to a 10 win. So this will be harder now, but I would still click it. Let's say if you rolled a bunch of different Spider Mace duplicates from all those reagents, or maybe like a really strong Spider Mace with the enchant, then it's still worth clicking this fairly early. And it also actually got its base poison buffed, so that's nice. Now, it starts at 50% now, instead of 75 at gold, which is rough, honestly. That's actually a pretty significant nerf. So I might not be valuing this build as highly as before. Now, Quicksilver just got buffed to spawn a Catalyst when you buy it. That's fine. Sometimes I use Quicksilver on my board just to get a copy of a nice small item. So I think this is fine. Rainbow Potion also starts at bronze. The values were changed, but I'm not really going to buy this, except for quest completion, honestly. And again, it makes the file launcher build weaker. Recycling Bin got nerfed as well, so honestly I would just not be going for this anymore. The potion pool is pretty messed up now, and then you also get directly nerfed. So yeah, we enjoyed it while it lasted, but other folks did not enjoy it. Runic Daggers improves its cooldown now when you upgrade it, so that's great. In the past, this item was just there to help your carpet, but there was no point of upgrading it because it only increased its damage by a small amount. So now there might be a reason you want to upgrade this, because you can charge it faster and then get your carpet to lower cooldown faster. Yeah, that's great. Runic Raid Axe starts at gold. A lot lower cooldown now, which is good. Damage is reduced. Again, the damage cooldown stuff, not really a big factor. I think the cooldown buff is better than this damage nerf. This was used just to get your carpet down to 1 second cast. And now, because Runic Daggers also can get a lower cooldown, the lifesteal variation of the carpet build is better. And if you miss the Great Axe, you can use the other variation of the carpet with like the flying and the crit. So I'm liking where the carpet is now. It's definitely a stronger build. Sands of Time has been changed significantly. So instead of charging it when you use adjacent relics, it just has a flat one-time effect of reducing its cooldown by 1 second. So no more charging this item and no more doing like charge loops where you slow your opponent's board permanently. And now it's just an okay item, honestly. This is kind of sad. Um, the reason why sands were really good, one of them was because it was multicast and it also charged from adjacent relics. So relic build might be getting weaker. Show Globe was an item that I haven't seen very often. It seems like it got a buff, and it's just like a base value buff, and slight scaling buff too. So maybe a little bit more playable, but the cooldown is still like 7 seconds, I believe. So I would probably just pivot out of this early. And again, this relies on potions. I'm not very sold on potions anymore right now. Shrinking Potion got its cooldown reduced by half. Pretty crazy. Again, not super sold on potion stuff. Maybe I'll just use this as a filler in the early game just to do like a chunk of damage. Could be decent against like Pig. But besides that, just keep moving. Spider Mace has the same issue with the earrings, basically, where like if you have slow and poison at the same time, what would happen to the charge? So another slight nerf. It won't really change much. Same as earrings. Still buy both of these immediately. Sunlight Speeder starts at gold, has a lower cooldown, and higher base regen. This doesn't really matter. Lower cooldown's okay. Starting at gold is rough because this item is like a mid-game beast. At silver, you just dominate mid-game fights because you can do a chunk of damage and then the burn just finishes them off. You can run this until like day 7 or above, maybe, sometimes. And now starting at gold makes it harder to get. And by the time you find it, you probably won't be using it anymore. You probably already have other things. Maybe on day 6, if you find this right away, you could use it again. But yeah, Vat of Acid starts at gold, and it has its cooldown reduced by 1. It's a little rough, but getting your Vat of Acid built up is not too difficult. So starting it at gold is not a big deal, it's just hard to find. I would just value this the same as before, like if your board doesn't already have direction, and then you find this vat early, and you can like sell a bunch of items with different tags, then just click it, and you can build around it. They didn't seem to change like Boiling Flask much, so you can multicast this. They did change Recycling Bin, so it's not going to be as fast as before when you ran it together. I'd probably just put Vat of Acid at the similar tier as before. File Launcher starts at gold. Yeah, we've already gutted this build enough. I think it's a little much now. Test Subject Alpha, item that people don't really use. I've seen some use cases, and I've also used it myself a few times for 10 wins, but now it starts at gold, and it just poisons players more at diamond. Also remember that it reduces its cooldown when you upgrade it. So I think this item will be in the same spot as before. It's kind of like a conditional item you use if you don't already have direction for your board. And yeah, those are all the item changes. That was a lot. There are also some changes for common items that I don't think is very relevant. Ooh, Darkstone got nerfed. Okay. There's some skill changes as well, I think. Vital Renewal is a relevant skill. It's one of our best. It starts at gold now. And it also has reduced scaling. So yeah, I understand. This was like one of our best skills. I would still click it. Oh, this one. A new skill for MAK only. If you only have 1 potion, its cooldown is halved, and it has +1 ammo. So this could be really good with things like VAT, right? You can give it a potion tag. It can be good with like the infinite potion, because that potion reloads itself so the ammo doesn't matter, and then it just gets a 2-second cooldown, so you're just getting regen charges every 2 seconds. So that could be interesting. There might be some other ways to break this specific skill. For now, I would just put it at, it's interesting, and I don't see exactly a way to break it yet. So it depends on what your board is. Unlucky Vital Renewal. So now let's move on to the guide and do some changes. I've already made some predictions before based on the new items, but I think it makes sense that Palanquin is moving up because, yeah, you used to just use it with the relics, but now you can use it probably with like crit items. So it's going to take some time to cook up new build variations, but for now I think it can move up. Carpet's going to move up for sure. Maybe move all the way to S, not sure. Freeze build, I'm actually moving up because the freeze items that were moved to gold were not the ones that the freeze build really uses. If you remember, well, yeah, this one is unfortunate, but by the time you're ready to assemble this, you probably can find the black ice. But Sapphire's chilling, Excavation Tools is chilling, right? And Slate as well, which is nice that they didn't touch Slate. So I think the freeze build can still be strong. I moved it up because of the new reagent, and you can roll that fairly consistently now with the catalyst changes. So you might be able to get some crazy freeze boards and like perma freeze boards. So that's why I moved it up. Sky Terror is going to probably be a new build with the dragon. So again, it's going to take some time to cook it up, but until further testing, I'm just going to move it to somewhere around A or S. The Relics build probably remains at the same spot. Reason being is because the catalyst changes help it, but a lot of the relics got nerfed. So we already talked about the relic nerfs, but the catalyst changes are interesting. For example, you could go to Curio and grab a large bronze item. You can easily get catalysts from like the Philosopher's Stone or a generator. You can roll that bronze item and it will give you a silver item because MAK does not have any large bronze items. And out of the silver items, there's actually a small pool now because a lot of the large items that used to be silver are gold now. So you would ideally roll into a Tomb of the Ancients. And then from there, if you bought a few relics on day one with all that income and extra shops, you can really tempo into a 10 win, I believe. So I think this relic build could still be strong. Self-poison build, honestly, I think it will remain the same. Poppy Field, I think it will go down. I think it will go to maybe B. Harder to find the field. Also, the field got nerfed. You really need it. I'm diamond now. It's not too easy to get that consistently upgraded. I have to test though. Maybe the gold item changes mean that you can find it easier past day 6 than before. This build really did suffer from when you couldn't find it and you just had a bunch of small weapons and you just have to do something else. Let's see. Bio launcher, yeah, just it's cooked. I think we're going all the way down to see what that one. Apothecary, pretty cooked as well. Harder to find the apothecary itself, and also the spear, which is mainly used. So probably B or C. Femur build. The sands got nerfed because it can't charge anymore, and that was the really big part of the femur build. So it's probably going to either stay at the same tier or go down. Vat of Acid, I think, will remain the same. And then this stuff at the end, I'm not really going to change it because that was just kind of some very niche builds that I was testing, or maybe some builds that used to be good and are not anymore. Maybe this could be interesting. Bottle Explosion, and then you just get that potion skill that reduces the cooldown by half. That could be really strong. But then you can't run these small support potions. You'd have to pick some other stuff. Maybe add some crit or something. But I'll keep an eye on these things. I think some of the builds in the C tier could move up based on testing and gathering data. So feel free to comment throughout the week if you find something that works or you disagree with something that I said. Again, what I say is not the facts. It's just an opinion. So yeah, let me know what you guys think.